Hi, I'm Pat Baer, and this is Pat Baer's Anime Club. It's an ongoing video series where every other Monday I upload a video taking a look at something from the world of anime that I want to chat with you about. It could be a deep dive, or it could be a summary of the previous anime season and a look at the next one. In fact, my next video will be that. But this particular video is about Tenchi Muyo. It's every Tenchi Muyo series and spin-off. Now, you may have heard me in a previous video kind of come to the conclusion during it. I should probably talk about, how did all this Tenchi stuff start? And so, besides giving you the backstory of that and how Masaki Kajishima created this monolith, I figured I also would talk about the various series because there are a lot of them. There are the OVAs and the television series and the spin-offs and, of course, the other shows that Masaki made that he decided he was going to retcon. So let's start with Ryooki. Tenchi Muyo, exclamation point, Ryooki is the beginning OVA. See that in the top corner over here. I hope you like these various little photo collages that I've made because I had to make several of them. But anyway, over here, top left corner, you can see there are 5 seasons or series of Ryooki. Which is the original Tenchi Muyo OVA. It started as a 6-episode OVA, then a 7th episode came out because it was so popular, and then a special that aired, I believe, on television briefly. And that led the way to, a couple years later, a 2nd OVA following along, and then a few years later than that, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The 5th came out in 2021, so it is a series that has run for 30 years in OVA format. OVA, original video animation, is similar to ONA, original net animation of today. It's not going to be produced for a television network. It will get a release on streaming services internationally, but in Japan, it is most likely going to be on originally video, be that VHS or DVD or Laserdisc or whatever. And nowadays, it would be on original video animation, might also be on just on the net. And by original, we also mean that it was just kind of created. That's the source material, is the actual content of it, instead of it being an adaptation of something. Or you might also have a TV series that then gets some extra episodes that are OVAs that aren't aired on television, that come out, that might be included in a home release. Anyway, how does this happen? How do we start with 6 episodes of this show and end up with this so many other things, as we'll get into, the TV shows, the movies, the also rans? Where do we get all this? Well, so Masaki Kajishima is working on Bubblegum Crisis, working with a director who eventually will direct the OVAs. But this is his baby. Tenchi is his baby. And Tenchi's last name is his first name. So there you go. So Bubblegum Crisis is action-packed, but it's heavy, right? It's a sad series. It's a drama. And Masaki's like, what if there was an episode where all of the girls and maybe one guy, because that would be fun, go to the beach. What if we had a nice episode of Bubblegum Crisis? And AIC, the people that are making Bubblegum Crisis, were like, the sponsors don't want that. They like it being serious. So because they're going to be sponsors for these programs, because even if it is an OVA, it might air on television later, or it might air on a satellite channel. And of course, satellite channels need content, and they want exclusive content to drive subscriptions. So there's talk of, well, we kind of like the idea. Do you have an idea? Do you have more? Do you have a show of this idea of this harem show where a guy's surrounded by these fun ladies? And he starts thinking what about I Dream of Jeannie? This idea of this good guy, but a little hapless, who discovers this genie. In this case, it's going to be Ryoko, and it's going to be someone trapped in a cave instead of, or Washu, depending on which series you're watching here, both Tenchi Muyo, Ryoki, and Tenchi Universe. But yeah, and then kind of take it from there, and then kind of fill out the character archetypes you want to have, and that's where you get the show, and you get the following the variety of seasons that come out after that of the OVAs. Is just the idea of like, I don't know, what about like a lighthearted adventure? 1992. What about a harem anime? And people were like, interesting. Harem action anime. It's silly. Okay, great. Sure. So that happens. You get various seasons of that, as I said. Tenchi Muyo is a big hit, as I said. The original Tenchi Muyo, huge hit. So much so that Tenchi Universe comes out, which is the TV adaptation. I can see in the top left corner there. That idea basically is, okay, we're going to do some TV stuff with it. We're going to bring back the cast. We're going to rework some things. We're going to add another space pilot who is the only character in the series that doesn't seem to want to jump Tenchi's bones, and is therefore has a huge fan following in Kione. We're going to take some of the themes that we had in the original. We're going to change it. We're going to adapt it. Masaki isn't going to have as much say in it, especially with the sequel series or not sequel series, Tenchi in Tokyo, which is both a sequel to Tenchi Universe and also its own thing, or a side series or non-canonical, whatever. Years later, we get Tenchi. I'm going to look at the full title here. My apologies for this. Tenchi Muyo GXP, which is like, let's take the Tenchi world and get some other characters. Let's go to space, because that's some stuff that we've explored, but not enough. And we'll bring in some other characters, and it'll be Tenchi Muyo, but in space, basically, or even more in space. And then years later, not too long ago, to promote something, which I'll talk about in a second, but more to the point, to celebrate the many years of Tenchi universe and Tenchi Muyo in general. Let's do another Tenchi series called Tenchi Muyo, which is Tenchi, a little older, but sometimes looking younger, going to a new town and becoming posing as a teacher. So we can introduce new characters and have a whole other dynamic, and then also bring in the other characters here and there when necessary, which is all part of the same universe, the Tenchi universe. And I'm going to look up the title here. I keep glancing over to my notes here. Also, this series is a sponsored series, which happens all the time. It is a sponsored series because he's going to a new town, and that town is Takahashi in Okayama Prefecture in Japan, because it is paid for by the Takahashi Tourism Board. Promote tourism. A lot of Tenchi series exist because AIC, in partnership with a satellite channel, satellite paid TV channel, needs more content. Do you have more Tenchi for us? And in some ways it is, well, we've got budget for a tourism thing, and also it's an anniversary of an anime. Why don't we do this? Let's put these two things together. So that's the TV portion. There are, again, spin-offs, and we'll get to those. Most of those spin-offs are TV. Some of those are OVAs as well. Very popular. Tenchi Universe and Tenchi Muyo, I should say. Hugely popular in Japan. Also popular in America. Both adaptations do very well. Tenchi Tokyo doesn't do as well anywhere. Because it's like, what if we had a new character and we took a really long time to let you, the audience, in on that we know it's weird to have a new character in there that we're pretending like existed in the other show. But we know that, but we're going to take a while to get there. It wasn't as popular. GXP hits a new audience. There are some novels that do very well, graphic novels that do very well for that, to extend that universe. And Tenchi Muyo exists. There are movies, some of which are canon, some of which are not canon. We've got Tenchi the I love this title. Tenchi the movie, Tenchi Muyo in Love, which is a continuation of universe and is considered canon. Then there's another movie that comes out later, which is not considered canon, which is Tenchi the Movie 2, The Daughter of Darkness, which is based on a light novel that was written by Masaki. Masaki wrote a light novel. Isn't that fun? He wrote many novels in this whole universe. So That comes out, that the movie does okay. And then there's the third movie, which is a continuation of Tenchi the movie, Tenchi Muyo and Love. It is a sequel to that, so it is considered canon, and that is Tenchi Forever the movie. Tenchi Forever the movie is a very funny title when there are going to be there's so much more Tenchi, because that feels like the last thing you would say is Tenchi the movie. I apologize that so many of these photos are like DVD pictures or the key art for a Blu-ray or a DVD collection of something. That's the best I can do for decent quality photos of this stuff. So my apologies for that. Okay, moving on. That's all the TV, OVAs, and movies that are fully canon, that are Tenchi series, with Tenchi either as the main character or, in the case of GXP, he's in there. It's just not necessarily split, but it's still a Tenchi series. Now let's get into the spin-offs that feature either a character, the feature characters from Tenchi Muyo doing other things. That could be canon and could be not canon. Here are the spin-offs. The Pretty Sammy series, and also Tenchi's brother has a show. So we'll talk about those two. Magical Girl Pretty Sammy, followed by Magical Project S, and the most recent Sasami Magical Girls Club are sort of based loosely on the world of Tenchi Muyo and Tenchi Universe. Basically, like, what if, she was a magical girl and Ryoko's there, and then like Washu's around, but not really Washu. They are not canon. I do not believe at all. I think there are references to her being a magical girl in some of Ryo-Oki, but certainly like none of them fit into the world at all. They're very cute. I have heard mixed things about the most recent one, in that it is basically just like kind of in name only, has anything to do with that other than the rabbit ship Ryo-Oki being in there. They're fun. Here's the big thing. It's a really fun idea, but Pretty Sammy's not a good magical girl series. Like, it's just not great. There are better shows out there, but they're not tied to Tenchi Muyo, which was the selling point. Also, there's War on Geminar, and here's the thing about War on Geminar is that I like it. I think it's good. And that's not necessarily the most popular opinion. So, Kenshi is Tenchi's half-brother. He is in Ryo-Oki, so this is tied to the Ryo-Oki universe. Basically, a mysterious woman appears, marries Tenchi's father. They have a kid named Kenshi. She is from another dimension. He gets sent there through happenstance, and he has to pilot mech suits because Masaki likes mech suits, as we'll talk about later. He likes mechs. So he made a mech series that's also an isekai, because he's in a different world, whereas you could say Tenchi Muyo is a reverse isekai, because Tenchi's from Earth, even though maybe his blood eventually wasn't, but whatever. He's raised on Earth. Kenshi is also raised on Earth, even though he is part from this dimension. He goes to this dimension. He meets a lot of ladies. They're all into him. He's super powered. There's mechs. It's fun. War on Geminar is good. I like it. But that is a spin-off that is canonical, whereas Magical Girl stuff, not canonical. And then there's the retcons, because Masaki Kazushima has made other things. He has made other anime. And some of that anime, he in later years has decided is related to the greater Tenchi Muyo universe. Either Tenchi Muyo, Ryo-Oki, or Tenchi universe. But it's thin. Those two are Photon, The Idiot Adventures, and Dual, Parallel Trouble Adventure. Photon, you look at Photon and you go, oh, that's the Tenchi Muyo guy, right? And you look at Dual and you go, that's the Tenchi Muyo guy. And you're right. Now, retconning says that Photon is... Photon takes place on the planet that years and years and decades and hundreds of years later is the planet from War on Geminar that Kenshi is on. How does that work? Who knows? So retcon, a decade plus before War on Geminar, Masaki is like, oh yeah, those are related. That's how Photon fits into the universe. Photon should just be its own thing. There are some thematic things in Photon that appear in other works, like the Wings of Light appear in many, many things. But that, I feel like, a stylistic choice, not a like, oh, we're tying these universes together. And Dual, which rules, I'm looking this up here. This is an alternate dimension to the Tenchi universe world. And there are a lot of references in the novels after GXP is made. There are references in the novel to characters that are in Dual, as if at least one of those characters in the distant future is also in GXP in the novels, or two characters are tied together to being the same character. It's very loose. When you're watching Dual, it has nothing to do with Tenchi Muyo. And in fact, as I've said, maybe on one of these videos, but I definitely have said before, the thing I love about Dual is, it's what if the Tenchi Muyo guy wanted to make his version of Evangelion, where it's not fucked up. It's not. There's no religion stuff, but there are big mechs piloted by people, and he uses the idea of different dimensions and messing with that. But it is his... seemingly, and he's got a girl that maybe is an android and maybe isn't human. It's seemingly his response to Evangelion, or inspiration pulled from Evangelion. Also, it does feel a little more Bubblegum Crisis than anything else that he's made, which is neat. And those years later, he was like, they're connected, and people were like, I guess. And there are a couple other shows that he has made, or specials he's made, or OVAs, that you could also try to find thematically connections, but they've not been overtly stated. And that, 17 minutes later, is every Tenchi Muyo series and spin-off. You, the viewer, may have only been familiar with 3 of those things. You may have been familiar with Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe, and Tenchi in Tokyo. Maybe you've heard of War on Geminar and you didn't even know it's connected. Maybe you've heard me talk about Dual because I think it's great. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the wide world of the many Tenchi Muyo universes. There's just a lot going on there, and I think it's fun. Sorry, there's a fly, and I am not going to re-record because a fly got in my face twice. I'm not going to record this video for that, so great. Enjoy that. And that is going to do it for this episode of Pat Bear's Anime Club. In the comments below, do you have something that you'd like to see me cover in the future? My next video is going to be about the spring anime season, wrapping that up and previewing the summer season, because we got more anime to come, including some real bangers. Summer's going to be hot when it comes to anime. After some high highs and low lows this season. Looking forward to a bunch of bangers in the summer. So that'll be a live episode on my Twitch channel that then will be posted in the comments below. Let me know. Do you watch any of these Tenchi series? Do you remember the movies? Did you watch Photon and you're like, how the fuck is that connected to anything, Pat? I don't know. Did you watch Tenchi Muyo? Because I don't know anyone who did. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you have ideas for future videos, as I said, please do that. Put that in the comments as well. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you on the next one, which again will be the wrap-up, which is some people's favorite Pat Bear's Anime Club videos. So enjoy that, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.